What's up, Vanguardians? This is Jonathan S.P. Mindam here with another video on Neo Nectar, and today I look at the Maiden deck. And what's really great about this this build is it's pretty much the Generation Break Mace deck. It's a little bit slower than most of the Neo Nectar builds. I do like it a lot, but the problem I have found with it is that if you go up against anything that's super crazy, let's say like Link Joker, Narukami, or Kagura, which are all still pretty big in the meta, it is hard to maintain a field advantage. Now, a lot of times you will find like Kagura is not so difficult to deal with, but definitely Link Joker and Narukami. And it's just because their deck is so focused around having multiple units with the same name, it really kills your strategies or your play style against them. And most of the effects of these cards are Generation Break 1. So if you're not going up against those kinds of decks, you actually have a really good chance of just maintaining a great field and great continuous pressure. So what I'm going to look at here is just going to start going through, tell you kind of why I do some of the things I've done. It's one of those decks that I think there's several ways to go around it. This is what I found to be the most entertaining for me, like very competitive still, but entertaining for me, because like a lot of times I don't like to do decks that are just so stale and stagnant for a lot of people. One, we began with Maiden Deck Facilis, sorry. This is the starter I've been using because it's quick, it's fast, and it does something. A lot of times against those retiring decks, they will go right for it. Granted, yes, they can retire, most things will retire grade 1 or less. This still works very nicely because it also starts setting up your plays for stronger and better grade 1 boosters. So when she is boosting the unit, when an attack hits, you put her into soul and you look at the top 5 cards of the deck and you call a grade 1. So you can start again setting up that better field. Since I only will run one of her. I want her as one because there are just things that, like, I used to run Oz. When you were to Gen Break, you kind of less one, put her in the soul, and you clone a grade 2 or less with the same name and call it your rear guard. Too slow. It really is too slow. Whereas this kind of works a little bit better, so you can start getting those plays. Oz is really great. A lot of other people were also running Ho, which is kind of last one, put in the soul, choose one of your units, and choose up to 4 units the same name, each give them 5,000. Really cool in theory, but again, that's usually a target people will take out right away. Sometimes they maybe don't fear the Syphilis or Oz as much, but still, it's one of those things where I feel her thing is a little more situational, whereas this you'll get off maybe turn 1, turn 2. And then sometimes what I've understand is people may be running this as a new promo that's coming out, and then beginning of your main phase, choose one of your other units, and this will be regarded as the same name. So this really good, works really nicely, especially in my deck because I run Slice. It's just a really good way to make up advantage, having the same units and the same, the same name in the field. So again, it really allows that cloning capability, which is nice. But that's not the one I want to focus on. I don't really particularly think, again, being so late, it doesn't offer you a variety of things to do early game. So this one thing with all Generation Break decks is they lack an early game pressure. Some things are better, but this deck is pretty much all Generation Break 1. Then we do 4 stands, which I've been moving away from stands, but I like this stand a lot. It helps so much that you put this on the top of your deck, place it on when it's placed on the rear guard. You choose one of your other units. If you do, choose up to 2 units with the same name as that unit, and they each get 5,000. So if you have, like, say, 2 Supas or Slicers, they each go additional 5,000, and it's a reusable trigger, which is really nice. Again, always an extra plus 10 to, something on the field is always remarkably good. Then we do another 4 crit. We do the new crit trigger. This is pretty standard for all, as long as it has Ronculus grade 3 or greater in its card name. You may pay the cost, which is put this unit into the soul. If you do, draw a card, choose one of your vanguards, and give it additional 5,000. Usually, again, on the vanguard, 5,000 is not going to make or break a whole lot. Yeah, maybe 2 to pass, something like that. Again, it should work with everything as long as you have a Ronculus, and then plus draw, which another reason why we don't run draw. This card will go into soul, so you do lose that 10k, but you do get the draw card, which is really nice to make up for what you are losing, but you are getting, again, 5,000. And, of course, 4 heal. And so that's it. We run 8 crit, 4 heal, 4 stand, and, of course, Phyllis's. Then we go to the grade 1s. We run our 4 on flipping on flipping perfect cards. I think this deck is a little more counterblast heavy than the others, and I like this one for that. So again, it helps out with maybe like a late game. It helps out definitely getting back your counterblasts when you do utilize it. So sad thing is you can't protect your rear guards, but again, if something's going to kill them, they're going to be going anyway. So we run 3 of the Stride Fodder cards. We run 4 Tower Slicer, super. Guys, and I've always talked about this, and I think he's one of the best grade 1s. It's not Generation Break 1. He just gets power from everything on the field, and in this deck, particularly, you focus around like Jingle Flower, and I focus so much on having units of the same name. Sour Slicers just become super powerful for every other unit that's named Super or Sour Slicer on the field. They're getting 1,000, so it's very easy to accomplish this. I mean, your Supers could be hitting for 11 if you have a full field net set up correctly, and then you do like Jingle Flower, and if you have enough, they end up becoming even more, so you could become a 21k unit on its own. I just think he's an amazing card. I don't think there's a lot out there right now that really just makes me go, ooh, I need to run it. You know, like that's the sad thing about it is there are some great cards, but none that I feel outdo. A lot of people like to run this because of the flip-flops and all that. It's always just gotta be a 7k booster. Like it's like, okay, even with, you know, it's like it's not creating the numbers that I need. And again, it's so slow in my mind. So that's just personal preference, but I think overall he is one of the best. Then we run 3 early Flowering Via, which is a brand new card that comes out in set 4. This is choose 2 normal units from your drop, put them on top of your deck in any order. You have grade 3 greater Ranculus in its card name, choose one of your units. Choose up to 4 units with the same name, and they get 3,000. So this kind of does what the starter does. What I really like about this, though, is it doesn't disappear. Like, it can constantly be used once per turn. So, again, if it's on the field, you're constantly getting back cards you may be losing. And at the same time, too, you know, like if someone blows up, say, you're one of your Sour Slicers, you can get him back. And it gives even more power. So I run 3 of them because, again, it's really good to get units back in Neo Nectar that you may lose. So if they are retiring them, this is a great way to get them back very easily because its cost is essentially free as long as you pay it. It's a really good card. Like they needed something like that. But again, I only ran 3 because eventually, you know, at that point, it shouldn't be your focus, but at the same point, it does work very nicely. Grade 2s, we run 4 Maiden of the Flower Screens. Again, this is such a great card because what you do is choose a normal unit from your drop zone, put it on top of your deck, choose one of your other units, and his name regarded as that unit until the end of turn, which is really, really good because it can take the name of Sour Slicer and, again, allowing them to bump up their stuff. It's so good for, again, returning the units. It usually is a target right away, but now that we have things that return units from the drop zone to the deck, it will definitely be something to deal with. And they're reprinting this as a rare, I believe, in set 4, so it'll become more accessible for people. Gladiolas, mainly Gladiolas. When this unit is boosted, and you may pay the cost, which is counterblast 1, choose one of your other rear guards from your deck, and with the same name, call it to the rear guard and shuffle your deck. So this card helps, again, you could do Flower Screen, put something back in, maybe again your Super or your Via, and then you can call Gladiolus to do the effect when it's boosted, and you can start setting up your field a little bit more. So it does allow you to get the same named units out there. So definitely a great card, and definitely a great effect. And now we run new 4 Flower Cluster Maiden. I can't even say Liana. I'm going to assume that's it. When this is placed on the rear guard, you may counterblast 1, soul blast 1, which is good because it gets rid of your crit triggers that you know, if you're putting in. Again, there's no way to really shuffle them back in, but you should always have a soul. In its card name, pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your other rear guards, search your deck with 1 card with its name as that unit called to rear guard, shuffle the deck, and this unit gets 2,000. So it becomes an 11k attacker, which is really nice once you do the effect. And of course, you're going to call another unit with the same name. A lot of people are like, oh, I need to run this instead of Gladiolus because it doesn't have to be attack. It doesn't really need a boost. Yeah, that's true. I mean, you really could. If you were to do it, you would get rid of this, and you would probably add, like, you know, Grace Knight, or you would add or the new Wisteria Knight, which is really good too. I personally would rather have the ability to keep swarming my field with units. This is just my general preference because, again, the deck focuses so much on having something with the same name in it. You want those units out there. So that's why I like it. It's a great card. I think they really needed a card like this in general. And plus, again, it becomes 11k attacker very easily. So, but again, gotta wait for that GB1. Everything here is GB1, GB1, GB1. So the deck really is stunted by that effect. Grade 3s. We run, of course, 4 of our Ronculus. There's nothing really more I can say about this card. It's been around for a little while. She truly is a stellar card because she has like this Arborosa effect in her Generation Break 2. All units of the same name get 5,000 each. So again, super good. And again, when you stride over it, you kind of bless 1. You choose one of your rear guards, call it. Copy a unit from your deck over to the field, and it gets 2,000. So again, can help really set up some better plays. I mean, if you copy over this, you're just setting up a couple of pluses here, which is really nice. You keep getting things. So I had a hard time picking my secondary grade 3 in, and the thing is there's actually a couple of decent options, but this card I'm choosing Maiden Flower Pistol. And it is technically not out yet, as far as I know. I don't know when it's going to be released, but this is the card of choice, because when one of your other units is placed on the rear guard, this unit's card is the unit with the same name as that until the end of turn. So you really can get, if you don't have, like if you were to call her and then call like a super, she becomes a super, and their effects go off, and there's a lot here potential here with this, because again you want units of the same name. So having her, even you generally should be using your grade 3s as stride fodder sometimes, but having her on Vanguard or rearguard, taking the names is really nice. To me, it's just one of those things where it's a good effect across the board. Yeah, it doesn't have maybe something stellar, but the deck is so focused around having something with the same name, you need more and more units that can do that. And so far, we have a grade 2, we have a grade 3, they have a grade 0, but I just don't use it. Grade 1s, they don't really have anything that do that, that are predominant enough to want to run it. Yeah, I don't see anything really that just sparks my interest with it. But I think she's a great backup. For the longest time, people were running Vegetable Avatar Dragon. I mean, when it's placed, it does an effect, which is great. It does allow you, and then you can always search out a copy for Counterblast. I never felt it was good enough for the deck. Some people run reverse, which I find, but again, you have to be 11 break 4, and I think in the long run, in the stride meta, her effect just doesn't do anything. And the only other one I would replace, if it wasn't her, I would go with Crystal Winged Dragon, because it actually has a better effect in the long run, closer to Asha's. But when it's placed on the Vanguard, you kind of bless 1, you choose one of your rear guards, grade 2 or less, and you copy it, and you get a free, not a free plus, but you are getting a name, and that can be placed on, so which is really nice. Then it's Generation Break 1, so again, if you stride once, choose one of your units, and you choose up to 4 units of the same card name, and they each get 3,000. So that's actually a really good backup. Again, personally, you could even run 2 and 2. I just for consistency factor, always try to run 4 of. So I'd rather have 2 of these things out there taking the names of Supas. And because they're 11, they will go up even higher. They'll become a 21 on their own as well. So this card was very much needed for the clan going forward. And again, we'll see more support, but I really think this is a decent enough card. So strides, for what you will see, and I don't have it over here, I do run 1 Blizza, and I'll explain why. Blizza allows you on turn 3 or 4 to get Generation Break 2. So again, if you have a lot of units with the same names and you can't stride again, or if you're running out of options, like her effect will then go off, because you'll be at GB2 and you can give everything with the same name 5,000. So again, if you were at that situation where it was hard to stride again and you don't want to lose advantage, and you maybe don't have a great play going into the stride, this is a really good combo to allow her to get her secondary scale off. So then we run 1 Abora. Again, when this unit attack hits, you may choose one of your rear guards, basically clone it and give it 2,000. So again, it allows for some unique plays and things to set up. Usually I'll use Blizz's skill to do her thing and to kind of blast her and flip her. So then we run 2 of the new Asha Stride, Dream Spinning. new card. And again, this is a great card for the Neonectar clan in general. You have to have 2 units of the same name. If you do, you get the entire front row of 5,000, and then if you are 2 or more face up in the G zone, you are allowed to clone a unit on the field and give it 2,000. This works wonderful in the deck in general. Again, even early game setup, mid game setup. You know, after you've strode once, you easily should have 2 units of the same name. And again, everything in the front row are getting 5,000. The only reason I run 2 is because it's actually quite more devastating in the long run in this deck to run Jingle Flower. And Jingle Flower is you choose a unit, and for every copy of that unit on the field, so again, your grade 2, your grade 3 that take the names, all become that unit, you will then be able to flip a copy of him, and for every unit they each get 2,000. So you essentially could have a field of 5 things the same, or even 6 if you're really crazy and somehow achieve that, but generally it's always 5. You will get 2,000. So you're getting additional 10,000 attack on your columns for each unit. So every unit, even the Vanguard get 2,000 for each unit of that unit. So if you have 3, you get 6,000. So every unit on the field will get 6,000. So your columns then begin to additional 12 in addition to what they already could be. So that is something that people really need to remember about how powerful Jingle Flower really is. I don't think there's another unit that can make them your units that strong, as long as they have the same name. But again, that's why it's so hard to focus solely on just having units with the same name in this current meta. But again, if it works, it's powerful, and it's very hard to deal with. Especially think about it, if you have say you have the grade 3 here, and you have all the Supas and all named Supa, and you then drive check a stand, you know, on a 21 column thing, it becomes 26. You know, that's so hard for people to deal with. It's really ridiculous in a good way. So the power is just there, and this deck is a lot of the same for Neonectars, having same units and things. So just the ability to always have the ability to get your units back, and also you do the clone is perfect. Like, they need things like that. So I've had a lot of fun testing this. Someone was like debating with me if this was the better build over, say, the Maiden Legion, and I still think the Maiden Legion, the Flout Rambling Rose, might be a little bit better because you can Legion back in your triggers. If you go through all 4 of your heals, there's no way of getting them back into the deck in a Generation Break deck. So people have to remember that. Like, that is a huge thing. Stride and Legion together usually make the best decks, and this deck not being able to Legion, and people are like, oh, well, you could run the new one and like do 2 and 2 or something like that. Yeah, that you could, but again, the focus of the Legion is to have multiple units of the same name. You know, like you're losing your advantage, and there's not another Legion of the Musketeers, and then you could do a vanilla, but it just doesn't work too well. They haven't had like a Legion that is just like, oh my gosh, it's just a regular Legion, not a Legion Revival, not a Musketeer, not a vanilla, just something that says when this Legion clones a unit. Like, that would be so good for the clan. Like I don't think, like, I don't understand why they have never done that, because it's like you then set up your field and you can get like Supas or whatever you prefer. They just don't have that yet. So hopefully in the future set, I think set 6, we might see something, but they really just need a very generic-y kind of clan Legion. So let me know what you guys think. Been going on for about 22 minutes, or 22 minutes, 18 minutes here. I really appreciate you guys. Let me know what else you want to see in the future. I would definitely be doing more deck profiles, but right now I started with Neonectar, and I love the clan, and I love what the decks have been able to do. But again, let me know what you think. We will talk to you all in the future.